Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. One headline says it all. Manatee Medical Examiner's Office overwhelmed by heroin deaths. There are so many heroin-related deaths in Manatee, the medical examiner doesn't even know where to store the bodies. The Suncoast leads the state in overdose-related deaths. Sheriff's deputies are not only armed with weapons, they are armed with Narcan, because that is how often they encounter someone overdosing. What's going on? What can be done? Tonight we talk to two professionals on the front lines and to Congressman Vern Buchanan, who is fighting to get as much help from the federal government as possible. But first, our top 7 stories at 7, and all 7 of those stories are named Matthew. We begin tonight with the latest on Hurricane Matthew. Here's Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. This is now a historic storm because it's hit 3 countries as a major hurricane. No storm has ever done that in over 120 years of data. So this is an amazing storm already, and it could be 4 before long as a result of it moving off to this northwesterly direction. Right now, it has just been hammering Freeport in Grand Bahama Island. It already went through Nassau and caused all sorts of problems there with winds sustained at one point at 97 miles an hour, and it continues to move off again toward the northwest. So we'll watch this very closely. You can see some of these bands already working their way into the coast of Florida here, especially just near Fort Pierce and extending off to the west. And we had a couple of bands move on through, and they did bring some gusty winds up to 40 miles an hour. As a result of that, we are looking at the possibility of more of these bands making their way through, and it looks as though we will see 20 to 30 mile an hour winds tomorrow out of the northwest. That's sustained. No tropical storm force sustained winds anticipated here along Manatee and Sarasota counties, but there will be tropical storm gusts, as we saw today, up to 40 miles an hour, possibly as high as 50 miles an hour throughout the day. But this storm system eventually is going to move off to the northwest, and that's the reason why there are hurricane warnings from Miami all the way north through Jacksonville for the state of Florida. That's the largest hurricane warning area that's ever been in the state for just one particular storm. And get this, we're going to show you this in just a little bit. That loop we talked about yesterday, well, it is looking more and more likely to happen. It's going to loop out in the Atlantic and then head back toward Florida, not as a major hurricane, but as a tropical storm, and be off the coast of southeast Florida by Tuesday of next week. We'll talk more about that, Alan, in a little bit and let you know about the rest of the weather as far as the weekend goes coming up in just a few minutes. Back to you.
Thanks, Bob. As Matthew continues to march north, more than 2 million people are being urged to leave their homes in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. That is the largest mandatory evacuation in the U.S. since Hurricane Sandy hit the East Coast in 2012. Governor Rick Scott says anyone living in low-lying areas or on Barry Island should, quote, evacuate, evacuate, evacuate. Tolls have been lifted on all roadways to help keep the traffic moving.
A small movement could mean a lot. It can mean the difference between life and death. That's why we have to prepare for a direct hit.
Hurricane Matthew is set to make landfall on Florida's east coast late tonight. Some computer models suggest it could stay along the U.S. coast for the next week. With an estimated 1.5 million Floridians being told to evacuate, hotels here on the Suncoast are filling up fast. A Loft Hotel in downtown Sarasota is completely booked for the next 2 days. Visit Sarasota says many evacuees are being sent specifically to our area. Some visitors believe hotels are taking advantage of the situation by raising prices.
We've even had some phone calls this morning from Fort Myers hotels that are busy. They're booked to capacity. And so we've been sharing our list of a hotel availability.
And you know, it's an emergency, it's a hurricane, people have to evacuate. So what are the hotels doing? Everybody's taking advantage.
Hotel management says it is normal for rates to go up during the weekend. Anyone who suspects businesses are price gouging can report it to the Attorney General's hotline at 1-866-966-7226. As some Floridians make their way to the Suncoast, members of the National Guard at the Sarasota Armory are getting ready to head to the East Coast. Governor Scott is activating more than 3,500 members to aid in evacuations, help out shelters, and perform search and rescue missions. President Obama is also being asked to send federal resources. Manatee County is declaring a state of emergency ahead of Hurricane Matthew. Right now, the region is under a tropical storm watch. No evacuation orders yet. Emergency management recommends those who live in mobile or manufactured homes get to a shelter during the storm. Manatee County is taking extra precautions to protect adults and students during the storm.
This is an abundance of caution because we really don't know what the impact of the storm is going to be. And just to be on the safe side, we're canceling all extracurricular activities and athletic events tonight and tomorrow night.
All Manatee County schools will be closed tomorrow. Extracurricular activities, including football games, are canceled, as you just heard. 4 schools are open tonight as storm shelters. Those include Braden River High School, Manatee High, Mills Elementary, Myakka City Elementary, and Nolan Middle School. Braden River, Manatee High, and Mills Elementary are all pet-friendly. Nolan Middle will serve those with special needs. Sarasota County is also declaring its own local state of emergency, but despite the declaration, Sarasota's public schools will be open tomorrow. While there will be classes and after-school care, extracurricular activities and athletic events are canceled across the district. The county is also opening a special needs shelter for evacuees at the Englewood Sports Complex. There are concerns tonight over the potential shortage of key supplies, including food and gasoline. Area gas stations have seen an increase in customers. Many are not only filling up their cars, but also getting fuel for their generators. The demand has not caused gas shortages. So far, stores like Home Depot are meeting demands for supplies.
We ran out of a few things. We have supply trucks. We have an emergency truck in here tonight. And then we have trucks sitting all around the state ready to hit after the hurricane.
AAA says gas companies are also making sure to help drivers get the fuel that they need. Hurricane Matthew has already claimed more than 100 lives, and the Suncoast Blood Bank is asking for your help. The blood supply is dangerously low, and the blood bank is receiving calls from the East Coast where facilities have closed as the storm approaches. For a list of locations where you could donate, visit scbb.org. And still to come, the Suncoast leads the state in the number of heroin-related overdoses with more than 120 deaths last year. How is law enforcement responding? We'll show you when we come back.
What does it mean when New South Window says Factory Direct?
It means we have a factory.
It means we eliminate the middleman.
It means you get an award-winning, energy-efficient window at factory direct pricing.
I'm consumer investigator Dale Cardwell. Replacing your windows will not just beautify your home, but save you big bucks on your energy bills. I've done the research. I've seen the factory. New South Window is my hands-down choice.
New South Window. We manufacture, we install, we guarantee. Call now.
This is a special health alert for seniors suffering with joint pain. If you have Medicare insurance, you may qualify for high-quality support braces at little or no cost.
I'm thrilled with my knee braces.
Now, there is a simple and proven solution for seniors to get out of pain with state-of-the-art support braces.
I barely feel any pain at all.
Braces for your knees and back, as well as your shoulders and ankles, too.
I'm so happy with the quality of these braces.
Call now, and you could qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost.
I can play ball again, and it doesn't hurt.
And because of my Medicare coverage, it costs me next to nothing.
So call now.
And because I have this red, white, and blue Medicare card, my braces have cost me just about nothing.
It's true. You may get a knee, back, shoulder, and ankle brace at little or no cost.
They qualified me for 2 knee braces and a back brace.
If you have knee or back pain, give them a call. They can help.
1-800-476-8967. 1-800-476-8967.
It's time to upgrade your favorite news app. Now, ABC7's My Suncoast News app is better than ever with a dynamic brand new design that's faster and easier to use. Stay connected with new features that make it easy to submit photos, share stories on Facebook and Twitter, and save stories for reading at a later time. Download our free My Suncoast News app on your mobile device at your app store. ABC7's all-new My Suncoast News app. Just another way we're here for you. Powered by the Eye Associates, providing sight for life.
Hurricane season is here, and Suncoast weather can go from this to this in seconds. So when severe weather threatens, count on the official Suncoast Storm Team at ABC7.
We're armed with the most advanced weather technology so that we can bring you storm warnings faster and with more detail than ever before.
Plus, we focus on the Suncoast and track storms right down to your neighborhood.
On air, online, and on your mobile device. Turn to the official Suncoast Storm Team at ABC7. We're here for you. ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
It's nothing to boast about. We lead the state in heroin-related deaths, and as we mentioned at the top of the show, there are so many overdose deaths, the medical examiner doesn't even know where to store the bodies. As Bobeth Yates reports, police are now trying new approaches to battle an epidemic that so far is getting better than our ability to do something about it.
The Suncoast is now leading the state in the number of synthetic opioid deaths. That's why officials say they're now shifting gears from criminalizing the act to helping those with a problem.
It's an epidemic, you know, like I said, it's killing people, you know. They're not only now addicts, now it's killing them.
Longtime addict John Thompson opening up about his heroin addiction and the point where he decided to turn his life around.
My brother-in-law had OD'd in the bathroom and his 9-year-old daughter found him. When I got there, his chest was blue and he wasn't breathing. I did CPR on him until the paramedics got there and he survived. They tested his bag, it was 98% fentanyl. You know, this time around for me, the fentanyl scared me so much that I was able to stay away from it and stayed with the pain pills.
It's a storyline that's become more common. Someone addicted to pain pills turns to heroin when the prescription drugs aren't available. And now that heroin is becoming more scarce, the popularity of synthetic substitutes are on the rise.
We are seeing fentanyl being brought into the community, which is a very, very potent synthetic opiate, many more times more potent than heroin. And then carfentanil itself is so potent that it's only used as an animal tranquilizer, specifically with elephants.
PJ Brooks from First Step Recovery says in many cases heroin is being laced with or completely being substituted for fentanyl or carfentanil. And most of the time the switch is taking place without the drug user even knowing. The result has been a more than doubling of overdoses. But Brooks says it's not a matter of if, but when the drug will eventually take the user's life.
Especially with the carfentanil, there's no human that is set up to be able to manage or handle the drug itself. It was never intended for human consumption, so as we look at it, it is a very, very, very dangerous drug.
The 2015 annual report, just released by the Florida Medical Examiner Commission, shows the Suncoast Tri-County area, which includes Sarasota, Manatee, and DeSoto counties, is leading the state with the number of fentanyl deaths, 122 overdoses. The next closest city was Orlando. They had 103 deaths. But now Suncoast County and city officials want to be proactive instead of reactive, and they're now changing their approach in tackling the problem.
We are not going to arrest ourselves out of this issue.
Lieutenant Randy Boyd of the Sarasota Police Department says his organization is teaming up with other law enforcement agencies on the Suncoast, as well as EMS and other rehab organizations to tackle the problem. And instead of criminalizing the issue, they want to get addicts help before things are too late.
When 2 or 3 or more people are together and one of them overdoses, we need them to hold that drug and give it to law enforcement. There is laws that exempt them from being arrested for doing that, and we are certainly not trying to arrest people. We are trying to get that drug off of the street.
Since July of this year, there have been more than 50 overdoses. More than a dozen of those have resulted in deaths. Bobeth Yates, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
So what difference could funding from the federal government lend to combating the heroin epidemic? We'll speak with Congressman Vern Buchanan and treatment experts when we return.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
I owed the IRS $20,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
We saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 1-800-565-7740. That's 1-800-565-7740.
Getting older shouldn't mean giving up all the things she loves to do. It should just mean, well, finding new ways to do them. Right at Home's professional team thoughtfully selects caregivers to provide help with personal care, housekeeping, and of course, meal preparation.
Oh, that smells so good. Oh, and it tastes good too.
We can provide the right care right at home.
Whether you're a homeowner looking for a professional installation or a contractor looking for top quality products, Sarasota Glass and Mirror can meet your every need.
For 42 years, Sarasota Glass and Mirror has been the area's premier supplier and installer of quality glass products for your home or business. As an authorized PGT WinGuard dealer, we know how to protect your home with everything from the PGT WinGuard impact-resistant windows and doors to shower enclosures and decorative mirrors. The Sarasota Glass and Mirror team has the knowledge to tackle any project.
Christmas Traditions by LuxArt Silks, where more is merrier. Make your holidays sparkle with style. Browse our amazing showroom, cute collectible cottages, and beautiful Christmas displays. Find the inspiration, selection, and quality you need to deck the halls merry and bright. Christmas Traditions also features the area's largest selection of quality pre-lit Christmas trees. Every size, shape, and color, and plenty of decorations to make your home shine for the holidays. Christmas Traditions by LuxArt Silks, where more is merrier. Visit us on New 301, just a quarter-mile north of University Parkway.
Joining us for more on the heroin epidemic and how more federal funding could help combat the problem is U.S. Congressman Vern Buchanan, Samantha Kolb, director of Centerstone's Addiction Center, and Dr. Sherry Gooding, clinical director at Coastal Behavioral Health, right around the corner from us. Welcome to you all. And Congressman, let me start with you because you've really taken on this issue on the congressional level. And what brought you there?
About 5 years ago, it wasn't something on my radar. I had 3 mothers walk into my office in Sarasota. All of them lost their kids to the drug epidemic in terms of pill mills and everything else. It was a big issue. We had 1,300 pill mills at the time. We've worked together, state and federal, to shut down a lot of those. But now it's led to heroin and fentanyl and carfentanil, with terms I've never even heard of before. So it's a big issue. We thought we made a lot of progress. But when Manatee County's had a 900% increase in 5 years, #1 county in the state for heroin deaths, that's very concerning. So we're going to do everything we can. We've got a bill that we've put forward, myself as a co-sponsor and others. We hope to get funded by the end of the year, about $500 million. We need more resources. But our goal is to work with the local experts, and my job is help bring those resources, and then we'll also hopefully get some support from the state level as well.
We're going to dive into the federal funding in our next segment, but it does raise the question of the law of unintended consequences. Is the increase in heroin overdoses directly related to the state and federal effort to shut down the pill mills?
Absolutely. Direct correlation.
I mean, was there what did you see in terms of the time frame when the state really became more effective in shutting down those pill mills, and then the increase in overdoses?
Well, what happened is the pills that were on the streets before now became less expensive, or actually more expensive. I'm sorry, and
that's all right.
I'm sorry, I'm nervous. And addicts, needed to get their fix, so they would try to get the pills. They were paying $30 at least for one pill. Eventually couldn't afford that, and so heroin was much cheaper.
So Samantha, could you explain the underlying causation that addicts are going, if not from pills to heroin, other illegal narcotics? If it's not one thing or the others, what is the underlying reason?
Underlying reason someone would become addicted?
Yeah.
There's a few different
reasons why someone become addicted. Some people had an injury, maybe from sports or daily life, and they were prescribed these medications not thinking they'd be addicted. They became addicted. Other people use it as a self-medication for maybe a mental health issue or life stressors that are going on, and it just spirals out of control.
And Congressman, there's really been kind of a change in terms of whether it's state government or federal government and the thinking of lawmakers in terms of how to handle this. Back in the 80s and 90s, it was, throw them all in jail, but there's been kind of an evolution in terms of thought.
My thought is I'd like to see as much of the money go into prevention. We were talking earlier, we have kids that are 6th and 7th grade getting addicted, and then you see the results, they're dead in their 20s and 30s. We've got to do everything we can on the prevention front. I mean, the money we're looking at is going to do prevention, treatment, and also rehab for a lot of them. But the bottom line, we've got to deal with this prevention piece. And I just tell you, I do a lot of town hall meetings in Sarasota, Manatee County, and this is maybe 4 or 5 months ago, mothers coming up to me and just saying basically, what are you doing about it? And our kids are dying on the street.
And we're going to get more into that in our next segment, but we have to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have the latest on Hurricane Matthew.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to save a life? Find out by donating platelets at Suncoast Blood Bank.
I'm Haley Wilgus, ABC7. Platelets aid in the clotting process and are vital in the treatment of cancer and surgical patients, trauma victims, and critically ill newborns. It's tough to keep enough on the shelves because they only last 5 days. To donate, call this number or visit scbb.org and you can help save a life.
ABC7 congratulates Suncoast Blood Bank on 65 years of serving our community.
If you want 24/7 access to ABC7's breaking news stories, weather forecasts, traffic alerts, health reports, dining segments, local events, Suncoast View, and more ABC7 specialty programming, now there's good news. Introducing the free ABC7 channel on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Your 24/7 access to ABC7. Just search ABC7 on your streaming device and download your free ABC7 app now.
The agents at SWC would like to show you pictures of all the homes that they've sold quickly for their clients. But they're just too many to show. Contact SWC today and find out for yourself. We just market your home better.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop head that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
For your plumbing, electrical, or air conditioning, and services is qualified, and service calls are free. And services.com, AND services.com.
Our roundtable will continue in just a minute, but first let's get a check on Hurricane Matthew from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Al. We've already had one feeder band move on through, and it brought with it 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts reported at the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport, a tree down near Port Charlotte, just 1 mile northwest of Port Charlotte. That has been the only one that moved through. It brought some moderate to heavy rainfall at times. We're going to see more of these, and they'll pick up in intensity, I think, after midnight tonight and continue throughout much of the morning on Friday. You can see what Matthew is doing right now. It is just moving right through the island of Grand Bahama in the northern Bahamas, northwest Bahamas, and you can see Freeport. Look at this, just a constant barrage of showers and thunderstorms, winds gusting as high as 160 miles an hour. And it's been there for 2 hours now. It's just slowly moving off to the northwest. It appears that it may be slowing down on its motion to the northwest as well. And you can see Florida not too far off, already starting to get some of that heavier rainfall into the east coast right now. But as far as the center is concerned, it's still a well-defined eye with the deep convection on the right side of it. And it could be developing a secondary eye wall right now. What that would mean is it possibly could be losing a little strength. Let's hope that is happening as we move through time tonight. Right now, some light rainfall around. The first storm that moved on through was fairly significant. Not much to the east of us, so we'll be pretty calm here over the next couple of hours. But as these feeder bands get closer to us and the storm gets closer to the state of Florida, we'll see much more activity, I do believe, tomorrow. We're not anticipating any sustained tropical storm force winds here for a long duration in Manatee or Sarasota counties at this time, and that doesn't appear to be changing at all. We will see some gusts as high as tropical storm force, 40, 50 miles an hour, with some of these bands that move through, especially on Friday morning. And this is the warned area. It's quite a large area to be under a hurricane warning right now, and it does include the city of Orlando. And looks like Cape Canaveral could get the landfall from this right there near Kennedy Space Station. Now, 81 degrees currently. It's warm. It's muggy out there. It actually still feels like 87 degrees. The high today, it warmed up to 89. Tomorrow's high should be right around 85 to 87 degrees. Well, the water vapor content showing that the system itself is actually creating its own wind field. It's blowing this dry air away. Sometimes this incorporates into the system and can weaken it, but for the time being, it's moving it off to the west-northwest. And this is another hurricane. This is Hurricane Nicole out there in the Atlantic. Luckily, that's not having much impact on land, but the color-enhanced satellite imagery still shows a rather healthy center as it makes its way through Grand Bahama Island and then off toward the northwest. The top winds, 140 miles an hour, gusts as high as 165. The pressure has actually come up 1 millibar from the 6 o'clock report. So that may be a sign that it is weakening, but still an extremely low pressure there, 939 millibars. As far as timing goes, it looks like it could make landfall sometime after 2 a.m. along the east coast, or it could stay out in the Atlantic. That's what we're hoping, but it also could move a little bit further west still. And you see Orlando right there. They're in that cone of uncertainty. Category 3, just as it makes its way north of Daytona Beach, still with 125-mile-an-hour winds. That is considered a major hurricane at that point, even up near Jacksonville. And then notice what happens. It does a loop back toward Florida. And this is becoming more and more reality. I've never seen Florida get into the loop twice, or at least the cone of uncertainty twice in one run. It wouldn't be a 4. This is the initialization right there, but this is what it would be, a tropical storm with winds at 45 miles an hour. If it were to do that loop, it would not be a strong storm, but nonetheless, it would be unusual to say the least, and it would cause to see more showers and storms around where folks would be picking up the pieces from the earlier storm that had moved on through. Our wind gusts, as I mentioned, will start to subside by late Friday and into Saturday morning, so it should just turn a little breezy on Saturday with most of the moisture moving out of here by then. Well, here's the 7-day forecast. You see it tomorrow, showers and storms, some of that heavy at times, and then much better weather Saturday, Sunday, and then we'll be watching the tropics again Wednesday and Thursday as Matthew may make a return appearance to Florida. More right after this.
Thanks to my volunteer, I am a better reader.
Thanks to my volunteer, math seems simple now.
Thanks to my volunteer, I discovered new career goals.
I'm a volunteer for Sarasota County Schools, so I know I can make a difference. And you can too. Give an hour, change a life.
Designers do it with style.
Tell me what's going on here.
Why, you don't like my hair?
The Mark and Mandy Show. In-depth design ideas.
What is up with the tuck tape here? Let's cover it up.
Amazing beauty and fashion tips.
So Halle Berry has amazing skin. Her secret is coffee grounds.
No.
Delicious recipes.
Today, I'm gonna show you a special dish that is sure to please that special someone in your life.
Watch the Mark and Mandy Show right here on your favorite channel.
I am the resident district manager on the FAU campus for Chartwell. Whenever I see Haley, I do not see a person with a disability. I see a person with extraordinary abilities. Haley is always smiling. She's always on time. She gives fantastic customer service and is always focused on any job that she's given.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to abilitieswork.employflorida.com.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope. and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help. And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse. Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 1-800-764-8708. That's 1-800-764-8708.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing the heroin epidemic and the push for federal funding. Our guests tonight are U.S. Congressman Vern Buchanan, Samantha Cole, of the director of the Centerstones Addiction Center, and Dr. Sherry Gooding, a clinical director at Coastal Behavioral Health. Thank you all again for joining us. Congressman, I want to talk to you about the Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act that was passed this past summer. What is it designed to do?
Basically, it passed the House and the Senate, got authorized about $500 million. It's basically for prevention, education, and to deal with the borders where a lot of the drugs are flowing through. So that's the main issues in terms of that. But my job, as I mentioned earlier today, is to make sure we get those funds here to Manatee County. We have a 900% increase in deaths in the last 5 years from heroin overdose, and it seems like it's getting worse every day. In fact, I said yesterday the Bradenton Herald came out and said it's the death capital from heroin in the state. And I can't imagine it, but that's the reality, and that's where we're at right now.
Why has the funding been problematic? I know it's difficult to get anything through Washington, but I believe the president asked for $1.1 billion in funding, but it was the bill, when it passed, did not actually have much funding in terms of the things that you wanted to fund.
Well, there's two steps. You got to get the money authorized. I think when we get there in November, we were talking about today with our staff, we think we'll get it done. I don't know we get to $1.1 billion, but I think we get to $600-700 million. I'm going to do everything we can to make sure we get it quickly and early, and make sure we get the money back here to Manatee County, and as well as Sarasota. But Manatee County has the bigger challenge.
But this is not just a Manatee or a Sarasota problem. You hear these stories across the entire country, which is probably why the passage of the bill was so bipartisan, because representatives and U.S. senators have this issue in their own districts. But is it one thing to pass the bill and then another thing to get everybody to agree in terms of the money that will actually go out in terms of these programs?
No, I think, as you said, Alan, it's a bipartisan bill, Democrats and Republicans across the country. I think in Florida, everybody was on the bill. I co-chair the delegation. We had hearings on this. I think everybody's on the bill. So I don't think it's a question of that. It's just a matter of getting the resources we need. And you made a good point. It's not just Manatee County. It's statewide, but Manatee County seems to be the epicenter of it. And it's a big national program. You can imagine L.A., New York, and other places. And it seems to be getting worse. And I think it's getting worse is because of you used to buy a pill for $30. We ran a lot of those people out of business. Then we got into the whole thing where you can get heroin for $10 a bag, and then now they're in fentanyl and other things that are much more addictive. And just to take one case in point, if you look at heroin, to buy, which I always thought was the most addictive drug, fentanyl is 50 times more addictive, and carfentanil is 100 times more addictive than fentanyl. So it's a big issue and a big challenge, and we need the resources quickly, along with the professionals here locally. We've got to work together as a team.
Samantha, why is there such an acute problem in Manatee as opposed to other metropolitan areas like Sarasota or elsewhere?
Yeah, I don't know if we have the answer to that. I think we wish we did. And so right now we're trying our best just to pull the resources we have together to treat and help those that want the help and need the services.
So coming out, if you were to get more funding and if the community would get more funding, Sherry, where would you like to see that money spent?
I would like to see it spent in prevention, as Congressman.
Well, how do you prevent?
Go out to the school, start talking to children when they're very young, educate parents as well what to look for, to help them seek the help that their children may need.
And
Alan, let me add one thing. I think, and all of us are touched by this, our family, we were talking about this earlier, you've got to prevent it from happening in the first place, because once they get down the road, if they get very far, good chance they're going to end up dead. And so when you got kids in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we've got to stop them from even considering drugs. And I think I'd like to see as much of the resource go that way in terms of prevention, because I have personal stories in our own family where once they get down the road too far, it's very tough to bring them back, and the parents are worried about them getting a phone call in the middle of the night that their child is dead. So that's my general feeling.
We saw in Bo Beth's story that local law enforcement, they do not want to go out and just arrest people. But there are people who are watching this tonight who see people struggling on the streets, and they just simply want them off the street. What would you tell them?
Well, I think every community has resources. You know, there's inpatient resources, outpatient resources. A new push is medication-assisted treatment, which is an option for folks to get on an opioid replacement so that they can continue to live their healthy lives without maybe going inpatient. So it's an option. It's in infancy, so I think we're going to see a lot of growth in that area.
You know, part of the bill that was signed into law includes treatment for incarcerated addicts, because there is, you know, almost a cyclical thing. People get picked up, they get into jail, they wind up back on the street and right back doing this kind of thing. Congressman, when you're talking to law enforcement agencies around here and the courts, which is a big part of it, and the jails, is there a recognition that more has to be done when people wind up in jail to give them treatment so they don't reoffend when they come out?
Yeah, well, again, very good question. I've talked to Tom Knight, who's a sheriff, as you know, in Sarasota County. They move them in and out of the jail constantly. Manatee County's actually got a better system, in my thinking. They work closely with your organization. They pick them up on the street instead of just putting them into jail, which then they release them a day or two later. They move them many times over to their facility, and they can get real help. And I think that's where they need to have more funding. I was just at a groundbreaking the other day. They added probably 20% more facilities in Manatee County, which I think is exceptional. But I think you got to work closely. You know, all the stakeholders in the sheriff departments, you know, have a big challenge. You just can't put them in and out of jail, put them in jail a couple of days, dry them out, and put them back out in the street. They're actually working with facilities like both of these in Sarasota, Manatee County, to put them in there, get them some treatment, and hopefully get them on the way of dealing with their challenges.
And Sherry, you're on the front lines of this, because they wind up at your door. And the one thing I have often heard on the statewide level is that Florida ranks nearly last in the country in terms of mental health spending. And does that play a big part in what the problem is?
Absolutely. I think addiction and mental health go hand in hand. You can't treat one without the other. Also, you were talking about criminalization. So the problem is once they go to jail or do a prison sentence for a felony charge, then when they come back out, they can't get a job, they can't find the money to take care of their family, so a lot of them go back to dealing.
That is true, but what I often hear about from people on the streets, there's a segment of the population on the streets that you can reach, and there's a segment that don't want to be reached.
Correct.
And what do you do about that?
Well, we do the homeless outreach. We go out and see people on the street. We offer them treatment at Coastal. Most of it's free services. Get them housing, get them involved with the Sarasota Police Department. So many of them are suffering from chronic mental illness, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and then they're using other drugs on the street.
Congressman, is there anything else that can be done on the federal level in terms of perhaps even law enforcement on the federal level to crack down not only on the heroin coming into the country, but also these other substances that are now taking over or being mixed with heroin, like fentanyl and so forth, to get to the source of those and cut it off?
Let me just comment on one thing you just said about mental health. We had a facility, state-funded, in Arcadia, DeSoto. They closed it. They said they didn't have the money. A lot of those people ended up on our streets.
Yes.
You see the homeless and everything else. So it's a big issue
from
that standpoint.
That's happened around the entire country.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at our region. And then if you look at the idea that we did pass a bill in the House, which I think will get dealt with in the Senate, where it's a mental health bill. It's going to be $125 billion. That's what we're spending. They haven't done much changes on the funding since JFK. So I want to be hopeful that we can take best practices, redeploy the resources so it'll make it a difference. The other thing I want to say in terms of drugs coming over into the U.S. 90% our numbers are coming from Mexico. The other percentage is coming out of South America. We are looking at a lot of the funding to go towards interdiction and stopping the flow, the drugs into the country. That is a very big issue and a good point that you brought up.
Right, and we'll pick up on that in just a moment, but we'll have to take a break, and when we come back, we'll hear from final thoughts from our guests.
My name is Haley. I have Fragile X syndrome. I work with Chartwells at Einstein's and FAU. I like being up front and interacting with students. The students are very nice and very hungry. Having a job is a big ticket for independence.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
The agents at SWC would like to show you pictures of all the homes that they've sold quickly for their clients. But they're just too many to show. Contact SWC today and find out for yourself. We just market your home better.
ABC 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
This is a special health alert for seniors suffering with joint pain. If you have Medicare insurance, you may qualify for high-quality support braces at little or no cost.
I'm thrilled with my knee braces.
Now, there is a simple and proven solution for seniors to get out of pain with state-of-the-art support braces.
I barely feel any pain at all.
Braces for your knees and back, as well as your shoulders and ankles, too.
I'm so happy with the quality of these braces.
Call now, and you could qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost.
I can play ball again, and it doesn't hurt.
And because of my Medicare coverage, it costs me next to nothing.
So call now.
And because I have this red, white, and blue Medicare card, my braces have cost me just about nothing.
It's true. You may get a knee, back, shoulder, and ankle brace at little or no cost.
They qualified me for 2 knee braces and a back brace.
If you have knee or back pain, give them a call. They can help.
1-800-476-8967. 1-800-476-8967.
You only have one life. Are you gambling with it? 1 in 3 adults have high blood pressure. Not knowing your numbers could cause you to lose, big time. Luckily, you can turn the odds in your favor by getting your blood pressure checked today. Don't leave your health to chance. Learn more at heart.org/HPV.
Welcome back. How could federal funding help combat the heroin epidemic here on the Suncoast? That is what we are discussing, and we will conclude with our guest. Congressman, you talked about you still hope to get that federal funding for the heroin part of this. When? Congress is not coming back until after the election, so are we talking about the lame duck?
We're talking about the lame duck, November. It could go December 15th. In that period of 4 or 5 weeks, we'll get it done. And then you mentioned earlier about mental health, I think first part of next year. It's $125 billion. We haven't done much in this space for 50 years. We passed in the House. We're hoping to pass that in the Senate. But I feel very good about the heroin getting passed, having the funding, and getting money down to our region, and especially Manatee County.
You know, a lot of times when whether it's Congress or the state legislature, and you get into these time pressure-packed, end of the legislative sessions, it's very hard because there's so much that has to be done. Have you gotten any indication from your leadership whether they're willing to push this along?
Well, I think the heavy lifting's been done. It's passed the House, the Senate. It's been authorized. So now it's got to be appropriated, and I expect that's going to get done. They're telling me, in the last 6 weeks of the year.
And if you got an infusion of funds locally to work with addicts and for this prevention, how soon would we be able to see the impact of that on the streets and the headlines that we continually hear about deaths?
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends on where it goes, treatment, prevention, but I think immediately, prevention not necessarily immediately, it's targeting the children at, school age. Treatment you would see immediately.
Right.
And let me just add, I would look to the community as we get the funding, grants and other things, is that they have a plan on how they're going to best utilize those resources, because the taxpayers are going to want some results. We need results in Manatee County and Sarasota County. So that's what I'm going to work closely with them on what is your plan, how are you going to use the resources, how are we going to maximize whatever dollars we get so we get the best return back to the citizens of our counties.
And I would imagine in terms of a short-term fix, the Narcan part of it, that this will provide funding from that gives law enforcement officers and EMTs at least something to actually save lives on the spot.
Yes, and family members.
Okay. Let's end the conversation there, but before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about last night's show. We had an analysis on the first and only vice presidential debate between Senator Tim Kaine and Governor Mike Pence. A CNN ORC poll of viewers found the majority of people believe that Pence came out ahead in the face-off. But we asked you, our viewers, what you thought in terms of who came out ahead. Doris Harker writes, Pence, he sticks to the facts and doesn't lie, even though Kaine was rude and crude and interrupted him about 70 times. And Billy Brooks Jr. writes, Tuesday's debate showcased a vice presidential nominee who couldn't defend his running mate. You can't depend on Donald Trump's behavior and recorded statements. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation about tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/news7. I want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Vern Buchanan represents the Suncoast in the U.S. House of Representatives. Samantha Kolb is the director of Centerstone's Addiction Center. And Dr. Sherry Gooding is the clinical director at Coastal Behavioral Health. When we return, we'll bring you up to date on what is making news at this hour.
The agents at SWC would like to show you pictures of all the homes that they've sold quickly for their clients. But they're just too many to show. Contact SWC today and find out for yourself. We just market your home better.
An important message for Americans eligible for Medicare. Are you receiving all the benefits available to you? Do you know there is money available to lower your Medicare prescription costs? Now's the time to find the coverage that's right for you at the right price. The way to do that is to explore your options. You can spend hours doing that yourself, or you can call Health Markets and let us do the legwork for you with no cost or obligation. We'll search a variety of plans from nationally recognized companies to find the coverage that's the best fit for you at a price that fits your budget, and we'll do it at no charge to you. Plus, you may be able to save money on prescriptions. We'll tell you if you qualify. Why pay a penny more than you have to for an insurance policy? Let us find you the right plan at the right price and see if you qualify to lower your prescription costs. Put our free service to work for you at no charge.
Call the number on the screen now to make sure you're getting all the benefits you deserve. Don't wait. Call now.
The official salon of ABC7. Cutting Loose Salon.
For your plumbing, electrical, or air conditioning, and services is qualified, and service calls are free. And services.com, A-N-D, services.com.
We'll have a look at your headlines in just a moment, but first, Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan has the latest on Hurricane Matthew. Bob.
A lot of questions being asked here, and there was a lot of folks from the East Coast here tonight. I'll tell you what, we're not looking at nearly as bad as conditions here. We are not anticipating any sustained winds for a long duration of tropical storm force. We may get some with these bands of rain that feed through, especially on Friday morning, and some of that rain could be heavy at times, but the good news is the storm is going to be moving at 30 to 40 miles an hour, so it won't cause a significant flooding problem. We're not going to see that, but there's a pretty good chance we will see some gust as far as tropical storm force goes. We've already had some of that action already. Hardy and Highlands County will be closer to the storm, so they'll have a better chance of getting those sustained tropical storm force winds there. And as far as the storm goes, it's been sitting right over the western edge of the Grand Bahama Island, and there's a couple of interesting things going on right now. There's a secondary eye wall that's trying to form, and what happens to that, sometimes the inner eye wall gets so strong that it kind of collapses, and then a secondary one develops. But they're finding right now that the winds with the secondary eye wall are actually getting stronger than the core itself. But still, this has been near Freeport in the western portion of Grand Bahama Island for over 2 hours now, slowly moving off to the northwest. There's the center. There's the eye wall. Freeport, just for 2.5 hours now, it's just been getting onshore, or I should say onshore flow, storm surge problems. heavy rainfall. They're going to talk about maybe over a foot of rain there, as well as a storm surge problem that they're experiencing. We had one shower just pop up here with this band as it makes its way off to the west. It may flare up a little bit more so as it enters out into the Gulf of Mexico. For the time being, the rain is not all that intense, and that's what we're looking at right now. But as this storm gets closer to Florida, we'll see a little bit more action spread our way as far as that rain goes, and the possibility of some stronger storms as well. Tropical storm watch for us, a hurricane warning for much of the East Coast, tropical storm warnings for inland counties. And as far as our current conditions go, it's 81 degrees right now, some clouds are around, and the dew point is at 76. The high today did warm above average at 89 degrees despite the presence of some clouds. And we're watching really two hurricanes right now. This is Nicole way out there, not affecting any land at this point. The big story obviously is this historic making Matthew right now, which is a major Category 4 hurricane. And the pressure is extremely low. It, again, looks like that could possibly even drop a little bit more as it gets over the Gulf Stream here, just off the coast of Florida. Right now it's at 939 millibars. It was at 938 just about an hour ago. That's a good sign in that respect that it's not deepening anymore in terms of the pressure. The winds are still at 140 though, and the gusts as high as 165. It looks like it could move right in through Cape Canaveral, close to Orlando. Orlando will get hurricane force winds there. It looks that will happen. This is at 2 o'clock, so you can get the picture here. There's 2 o'clock in the morning. So you're talking here at around, I'd say 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning. And then places beyond, you can see still a 125-mile-an-hour storm near Daytona Beach, all the way through Jacksonville. And then, yes, you guessed it, it loops back around to Florida. But this time, the second go-around could be just a tropical storm at this point. But this is a very unusual scenario that's being played out here with this one. For us, though, we're on the good side of the storm, meaning the weakest part of it. If there is a weak part to it, this is the place to be. And winds will be out of the northwest, gusting as high as 20, as I said, it would be 20 to 25 sustained throughout the day tomorrow, with gusts as high as 40 to 50 possible with some of these storms moving on through. But by Friday evening, those winds will start to subside and move northward with the storm center. So that will be a lot better for the weekend as we push on into it. As far as the wind radius go of the tropical storm force, you see it moves into Highlands County as well as parts of looks like Hardy County. Our chances of getting tropical storm force winds here are lessening, which is a good sign for much of Manatee and Sarasota counties. And as far as the forecast models are concerned, as I showed you earlier, a lot of them do that loop back toward South Florida as a tropical storm, but not as a hurricane. And rainfall should not be all that impressive here in terms of the amount. We'll get some pretty heavy rain for periods of time, and that will seem like it's very impressive, but it shouldn't be sticking around all that long. Well, let's take a look at the 7-day forecast as we see it. So tonight, winds will stay out of the north and northeast, anywhere from 15 to 20, and then we'll pick up throughout the day on Friday, and then we'll see breezy conditions and sunshine returning for the weekend. Alan will be right back after this.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names. They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
Call right now to get your free Senior Care Compass ebook. Find out about the 5 best-kept secrets on financing senior care and assisted living.
Call now, 800-290-0352. 800-290-0352.
They took that stress and that tension when I was particularly feeling very bad after that nasty car accident, and it was such a relief to know that I didn't have to bear that burden alone, that I had help.
Our goal is to not just get a satisfactory settlement on their case. We want them up on their feet, happy again. They've gotten their life back.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from
everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. We promise we're more than a dealership. We're a destination with a movie theater, massage room, aquarium, cafe, and more. We promise to give you top dollar for your trade, even if you don't buy from us. And if you do, we promise you the best deal. Bring us any competitor's ad and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
Now to our primetime headlines. At least 113 people are confirmed dead tonight across the Caribbean as a result of Hurricane Matthew. The majority of those deaths are in Haiti as authorities continue to gauge the extent of the damage. Humanitarian aid is already beginning to pour into the country. One UN official is calling Matthew the largest humanitarian event in Haiti since the 2010 earthquake. Schools will be closed tomorrow in Manatee County ahead of Hurricane Matthew. Extracurricular activities, including football games, are canceled. 5 schools are open tonight as storm shelters. They include Braden River High School, Manatee High, Mills Elementary, Myakka City Elementary, and Nolan Middle School. Braden River, Manatee High, and Mills Elementary are pet-friendly, and Nolan Middle will serve those with special needs. Schools will also be open tomorrow in Sarasota County. The shelter at Manatee High School already has more than 40 evacuees preparing to spend the night. The American Red Cross is on hand to provide supplies. Many of the evacuees are staying there are from Fort Pierce, and they say they didn't want to risk anything.
I had experience on a Category 3 hurricane before, and that was a bad experience. So when I heard this one going before, I don't want to live that again.
Sarasota County is also opening a special needs shelter for evacuees at the Englewood Sports Complex. Major airports in South Florida and the East Coast are shutting down because of Matthew. The Fort Lauderdale International Airport closed late this morning. All flights are canceled out of Miami International Airport and Palm Beach Airport. Hundreds of flights have been canceled at Orlando International Airport, Tampa International Airport, and Sarasota Bradenton International Airport do not plan to close today or tomorrow. The status of flights at the airports are constantly changing with the storm. Travelers should check the status of their flights to stay informed. And that is all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us, and please stay safe.